Finally, it's about time. All of the division series are done and over. Thank the Yankees for their rain delays and the New York weather, because that was definitely amazing, pushing the series back an extra day. But it's done. We know the winners of all the division series and the championship series is up. And for John and this Yankees show, that's going to continue because the Yankees have beaten the Cleveland Guardians. So the championship series matchups are the Yankees versus the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies versus the San Diego Padres. We're going to cover that Yankees and Astros series, and then we'll also throw in a little bit on that Phillies Padres series as well. So let's get straight into it. You're watching Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derek. I'm here with John, and let's get straight into it. So obviously, first things first, this is a Yankees show here on Bleacher Brawls, our weekly Yankees show on YouTube. So let's talk about the Yankees, John. Thoughts on this series? Obviously, Yankees winning 5 games. Was definitely a tight series, but got the job done.
It was tight series is for sure. Like, it was such a tight series. It was an up and down series, just back and forth. Really good teams. It was just wonderful. They won today. I felt fantastic. I'm in a great mood. This is amazing. It'll last till tomorrow when the stress starts all over again, but I'll celebrate tonight. Look, the takeaway, two big takeaways from this series. One is that you can't question Gerrit Cole's toughness. The guy is a freaking bulldog. And two, the Yankees were able to win without Aaron Judge. I mean, he hit a home run in the game they lost, and he hit a home run in the game today where they were already up 3-0. And really Stanton was the big hero today. So those were the two big takeaways from the series. And I think going into the Houston series, Aaron Judge has kind of, in ways he's acted on the field, statements he's made, he doesn't like the Houston Astros. So I believe, as we're going to talk about this in a minute, the Yankees won without Aaron Judge, but I do predict that Aaron Judge wakes up for this next series.
Yeah, last week I did a playoff storylines video, and part of the thing I covered was, Aaron Judge in the postseason. He hasn't had the greatest success in the postseason so far in his career, and I said, like, the Yankees can obviously, like, they can win without him, but their best shot is when he's playing well. I mean, that's for any team, right? If your best player is playing well, you have a better chance at winning than if they're not playing well. And that's definitely true for the Yankees, true for every team still remaining in the playoffs. If your best player is playing well, you got a better shot at winning. And for the Yankees, especially having a guy like Gerrit Cole step up, and we know he's had some postseason struggles, and by postseason struggles, like, overall in his career in the postseason, he's not been bad at all. It's just that he has the wild card game last year, gives up a couple homers or gives up some runs, or it's more like a select couple postseason starts where he's had struggles instead of just constantly struggling in the postseason. And that's let's say how I kind of seen Gerrit Cole's postseason struggles, more of like just a couple select games where he's been kind of bad, whereas instead of it just being consistently bad, like David Price, before 2018, like David Price was awful in the postseason. Gerrit Cole's not that. He's had a couple bad games, but he's had good games as well in the postseason, and he was good this series for the Yankees. Aaron Judge, not great this series, but he's always going to give you solid defense in the outfield, and now, hopefully in the championship series, hopefully from a Yankees perspective, he can kind of get going and be the heart of that Yankees lineup.
Definitely. I really think he can do that. I think he's going to hit differently. He didn't match up well against the Cleveland Indians pitching, I believe, or the Cleveland Guardians pitching. And so you kind of knew going in there was a chance he wasn't going to have a good series. One of the things I loved about Gerrit Cole is that you saw him warming up in the bullpen tonight. Like, if this game, I didn't think he was going to come in the ninth inning. Like, if Wandy Peralta was struggling, like, he'd come in with the bases loaded. I didn't think that was going to happen, but I do think that the game went into extra innings, he was going to be coming out and pitching. I could be wrong. I don't know what Aaron Boone's thought process was, but that was just my takeaway. Either way, the fact that the guy went out through like 110 pitches yesterday and was ready to come back out today, it just shows he really wants to win. The guy's a competitor. Another guy I really want to give a shout out to would be Harrison Bader, who just went out, had an awesome series, really good on the bases. He's something else, and just he was so locked in. You just see the focus in that guy's eyes. I think Yankees really might have got lucky with this guy. I think he's a gamer, and dude, they're gonna need that. He's a great guy to have. A guy like that with that intensity and energy and like balls to the wall approach towards every game is a guy that you want in the playoffs.
Yeah, guys bring speed, brings defense, can swing the bat a little bit too. People don't, people think Harrison Bader, they think defense and then some speed, but it's not like he can't swing the bat at all. Especially, he can get hot as well. He can have some good stretches, and this series is definitely a good series for him. Um, and I think too, when you look at this Yankees team, having the ability to play Bader in center and move Judge to right, and it's not even move Judge to right because he can't handle center. It's move Judge to right because your defense is infinitely better with Bader in center and Judge in right. And now you have that. And now also to Yankee Stadium, I don't think people realize this is enough. Judge 6'7", all those kind of short porch home runs that everyone complains about. I mean, it's kind of easier to just stick your glove up and stop one from going in the first row if you're 6'7". So
Yeah,
there is that, kind of home run robbing kind of thing in right field that, you can't just hit one in the first row. You got to get it a few rows back at least.
definitely. Yeah, there's it seems like once a week he's just robbing a home run in Yankee Stadium. Like the guy can jump. He's tall and he can jump.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels like he doesn't even have to jump because he's 6'7", just goes. And sometimes he feels like he doesn't even have to lift his glove; he just goes like this, and it's like, and his hands like 3 feet over the wall, just putting it up here. But he's like this whole Yankees outfield defensively, and we'll get into the whole Aaron Hicks injury and him most likely being out for the rest of the postseason. At least that's what he said. He'll be out for the rest of the postseason. And it doesn't look like Benintendi is going to be on the ALCS roster, so figure out what the Yankees defense might look like. But outfield defense was good for the most part. I know Oswaldo Cabrera had a couple of moments, and I think it was a game 3, I think it was. But they moved him to short, especially to his bat was playing very well in this series. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, I like him. Obviously, he was struggling a little bit. He also had a couple of defensive miscues at short. And Cabrera did fine moving to short from left field. And I think it kind of seemed he might have been a little uncomfortable in left because he hasn't played there a lot. I know he hasn't played a lot in right before getting called up, but that could always be a thing, maybe just a little bit of being uncomfortable in left field as well.
Yeah, that would be the one kind of worry I have with that. And it was pretty clear that he fielded a couple balls where he just came in the wrong way. I mean, we dove for a ball that he was never going to catch and should have been trying to stop, and little things like that. Fortunately, it didn't kill them. There's concern going into the next round because stuff like that just seems to happen to guys that aren't ready. It just, those plays always end up happening in big spots. Hopefully the Yankees can figure something out. But yeah, there is a little bit of concern there. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, you can't argue the fact there can be concern there, because if you're not gonna put Cabrera back in left field, your next option is Marwin Gonzalez, and like I said, this is why you have Marwin Gonzalez on the postseason roster because you can put him everywhere defensively, but you'd rather not have his bat in the lineup. He's not a bat that you're going yeah, we want him in the lineup. Obviously, Stanton could go play left if they don't need him to DH, or by don't need DH, let's say LeMahieu's healthy, they can DH him and put Stanton in left. They could do that if LeMahieu's ready for the ALCS, but we don't know if he is. But it seems like if they're not going to put Cabrera in left, it's either Stanton or Marwin Gonzalez, and Stanton's not bad defensively, but I wouldn't really say he's good defensively, especially nowhere near the level of Bader and Judge, I don't think. I think that's fair. And then Marwin Gonzalez, he's fine defensively, but the bat isn't really there. So you might have to give up a little something with having one of them out there, but you might also gain something else by having LeMahieu in the lineup if Stanton's out there, or you gain some defense from Marwin. But you might lose a couple things there too.
Yeah, exactly. I think, with Hicks going down and depending what they're going to do with Cabrera, that is your choices. It's either Stanton in left field, bring LeMahieu back, DH him, or you just, I don't know what you're going to do because it does, like you said, it doesn't look like Benintendi's coming back. So maybe they do just keep Cabrera out there and think any experience is good. He is a pretty quick learner, it seems like, and maybe they're just gonna roll the dice with him. I think that's a real possibility right now.
Yeah, my only worry, if like from a Yankees perspective, my big worry would be that left field in Houston, because there's some weird angles out there. The Crawford box is kind of sticking in, and they have that weird angle going out to left center. That would worry me a little bit. Um, like right field, it's a little bit more natural right field, but like they're not gonna move Judge to left to put Cabrera in right. They're not gonna do that. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be the stupidest idea if you got to play him in the outfield, play him where he's most comfortable, but I don't see any world Aaron Boone goes, yeah, we're gonna try and move these outfield guys a little bit just to make it more comfortable for Cabrera. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, why mess with Aaron Judge's mentality? He's
Yeah.
the guy you need to be the most comfortable.
Yeah. Well, like you could put him in center, and I don't think that would mess with his mentality. Then you got to put Bader in left, and it's a little. And also too, the thing is with left field in Houston, like it is weirdly shaped. But if you have a center fielder like Bader who can cover a lot of ground, and even Judge can cover a lot of ground in right field, you don't have to worry too much about those weird angles in left. Because if it hits off that sidewall, it's going to bounce out to the right. Bader will be there. So it's mostly if you're looking at Cabrera, you're kind of looking, hey, you know, make sure learn when they get to Houston, get a couple balls off that wall, see how that wall feels. Put the ball in the gap and see how the ball does. Just kind of like stuff like that, kind of seeing how a ball might bounce off different things, stuff like that, because it is a different outfield. It does have some weird dimensions.
Yeah, I hate that ballpark.
I think most of us can say we don't like Houston. I think that's fair. Something Red Sox and Yankees fans can agree on is I'm a Red Sox fan, John's a Yankees fan. I think we can agree we both don't like Houston.
I think there's gonna be a lot of Red Sox fans that are gonna be Houston fans for the next couple of days.
Yeah, well, we got Christian Vasquez only there. That's like our only saving grace. Christian Vasquez with Houston. It's like I'm not really rooting for Houston. I'm just rooting for Christian Vasquez. It's kind of also too the Astros. I think they have Roger Clemens throwing out the first pitch for Game 1, and then Josh
Yeah.
Reddick is saying play ball before the game, so they're going full, Red Sox over there in Houston. Which it is kind of because Reddick's former Red Sox, Clemens former Red
Yeah, I
Sox. Although
remember
Clemens, yeah.
Reddick being on the Red Sox. Yeah.
Yeah, so that I thought that was kind of funny, and I would be even more funny if Christian Vasquez caught the first pitch, but that is kind of funny. Now I do want to look at Houston a little bit though. Just take a look at their roster. Obviously Yordan Alvarez, and me being a Red Sox fan, I know what Yordan Alvarez can do to you in a postseason series. You look at that Astros lineup, he's their guy that you got to figure out a way to solve. Obviously, they have a bunch of other guys that can hit. Altuve is not going to go 0 for 16 like he did in the ALDS. Jeremy Pena had a very good ALDS. You have a bunch of other guys sprinkled through that lineup with like Alex Bregman, Yuli Gurriel, Kyle Tucker. They have a lot of good players, but Yordan Alvarez is the main guy. You got to figure out a way to stop him or at least cool him down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy I'm most worried about in this playoffs. I don't know. I think you kind of have maybe. Well, I guess depending on the pitcher, but I would think for the most part their approach to Yordan Alvarez would be the approach that other teams were taking to Aaron Judge, and be like, just make him chase. Keep the ball just off the plate and hope he expands the zone a little bit. If he walks, and we'll get the next guy out. Yeah, I think Altuve is much like Aaron Judge. He's not going to have, ALDS was bad, but I do expect those to be the two guys that really do carry their teams in the ALCS. They're the leaders. There is a rivalry between these two teams. And unfortunately, the Mayor Munchkin land over there is probably going to try to propel his team to victory. If they're not able to cheat, he's got to do something.
No, it'll definitely be a fun series to kind of see who's gonna step up for both teams. Obviously, you have the big kind of guys, and Stanton and Yordan Alvarez have had good postseasons. I mean, Yordan Alvarez has been on another planet, but Stanton's had a solid first round. You have guys like Altuve and Judge. Maybe didn't have the first round they wanted, but you know that they can do better. And then there's obviously you got all the different supporting pieces. Astros have Bregman, Yankees have Rizzo, the Astros have Jeremy Pena, the Yankees have, Harrison Bader. Or like, they're both teams have their star kind of player, their big guys, but they also have a great supporting cast around them. And even on the pitching side, both sides have solid rotations. Both teams have solid bullpens as well. It's a very obviously I know the Yankees didn't have, the greatest regular season against Houston. I don't remember exactly what the record was, but it's not like a series. You can't just go into it being like Houston's going to walk all over the Yankees. You can't go into it thinking the Yankees going to walk all over Houston. It's going to be a dogfight. But both teams have enough pieces to beat the other team. It's just those pieces, those guys have to show up.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be a stressful series. You just kind of have to hope. It's like if you watch professional wrestling, if one guy wins, if there's a 3-match set and one guy wins the first two, the other guy's going to win the third. So you have to think the bad guy has won twice into the first 2 times these two teams have met up in the ALCS. Now it's time for the good guys to finally prevail and overcome that monster, the cheaters, like just the worst guy in the room that nobody likes. So let's hope there for a little bit of a professional wrestling aspect to it, and the Yankees just finally slay that dragon.
Yeah, I think it is interesting with the Astros and Yankees. So the Astros, this is their 6th consecutive ALCS. I'm gonna rattle off the teams they've played against. You ready for this? Yankees, Red Sox, Yankees, Rays, Red Sox, Yankees.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
American League East teams.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's it. I mean, really, if you look at the American League, it's the American League East
And
and
Houston.
the Astros. Like those are the
Literally.
teams. Yeah. And the Astros, it's just they're there every year. Like you said, they're there every year. All of the American League East teams have every reason to hate them. It's just, and then you got to give them credit though. Credit where
Yeah.
credit is due. As much as I'm going to accuse them, I will always accuse that team of cheating. Look at me in last place. I'm accusing you of cheating. Like that's just how it is now. But everybody's watching them. You have to assume, in all likelihood, the past couple of years have been in the up and up, and they're still there every year. So that team is a tough team, and making it to 6 ALCS is impressive, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, and
wait, hang on. What's this? Altuve singing? The lollipop. Yo. Oh, okay. Thanks, Altuve. We heard that. Were you able to hear that over the?
No.
Oh shoot, it didn't work. I was trying to play the Lollipop Guild from the Wizard of Oz.
I think the thing, like, we look at this Astros team, right? And like the reason why everyone hates them is because they've been good for 6 years straight and they made the ALCS 6 straight years. If they were bad, I don't think anyone would care that they cheated. It's like, okay, but you suck it's like it's like the whole steroid thing. The people who complain about steroids, they only complain about the players who were good. They don't complain about some bench warmer who might have taken them but was awful. Like,
yeah, didn't like
you know.
Richie Hidalgo get popped for steroids? Nobody cared for that.
Yeah, no one cares for the people who were bad if they're cheating or whatever. They only care about the teams who are good and like Houston, like and Houston's organization is just like a talent pool. And we've seen in the last couple of years, they lose George Springer. Okay, who cares? Lose Carlos Correa. Okay, who cares? Lose Garrett Cole. Okay, who cares? We have guys to replace them, and it is impressive. I think the big thing when Garrett Cole was gone, it was Cole, it was Verlander, and it was Greinke. Greinke, Cole, both gone. Okay, so what? We still have Verlander. Now you're gonna get Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, and they have a bunch of other guys too. I'm pretty sure. I know I'm forgetting someone. Hunter Brown, who's got called up this year, he looks solid. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting someone else. Lance McCullers, that's who I'm forgetting. Like that's the one thing that really impressed me about Houston. Like they lose these star players and they're still able to replace them and have still been able to stay good.
Yeah, didn't Dallas Keuchel win a Cy Young? And he was
Yeah.
still pretty good when they were like, all right, well, you can walk, we'll replace you. And it happened.
Yeah.
It stinks. They're a talent pool. You have to think it's gonna run out at some point. That's a really hard, like, as much as when teams do this, a lot of times, like, eventually that talent pool is gonna run dry until you're not really a good team again. It hasn't happened yet, and I think we all hope this is it for the Astros. Like, hopefully they're on the other side of the hill and it's all downhill from here.
It definitely doesn't help though. Like it's like the funny thing too is like you look at like their team and then like Jordan Alvarez comes up, Kyle Tucker comes up, and now this pitching and the Astros and stuff. This is the one thing that surprised me. They have this like kind of older young pitching, and but what I mean by that is they've been very good at like scouting pitchers, especially international like free agents who are older, right? So guys who are in that 18, 19 range haven't been signed and they get and like Framber Valdez one of those guys. Luis Garcia was one of those guys, right? Where they're younger and where they're young, but they're not like and they kind of come up as they're a little bit older. They don't come up as 20, 21-year olds. But like the Astros have turned these guys, and these guys have never been top prospects because they're older for being a prospect, but they've continuously turned these guys into good talents, and I think that's crazy as well. And both teams, this Yankees and Astros, have been able to find things in the bullpen. Bring in guys who have struggled, maybe elsewhere, bring them in and kind of turn them around and make them good pitchers out of the bullpen. Both teams have done that as well.
Yeah, I mean the Yankees traded Mike Tauchman for Wandy Peralta, and right now
Yeah,
Wandy Peralta is the most reliable pitcher in that bullpen. Like I
yeah,
don't remember who they traded for Clay Holmes, but I'm sure it's nobody we miss.
yeah,
It's just so that there's a lot of you do as much as the Yankees bullpen kind of it's a question mark. It's not like they're a bad bullpen. It's just not what we're used to seeing, and but that's what happens. It's the playoffs, and you're gonna have to just all hands on deck, rely on any pitchers you got. Like I said, Cole was warming up in the bullpen. He's gonna be ready to go. Maybe you want to utilize Domingo Herman a little bit more. I don't think he pitched at all in this series. So yeah, I just go with who can get people out.
yeah. It's like I feel like this whole thing of like all hands on deck really started in 2018 with the Red Sox doing it and Alex Cora just going, "Hey, spikes on for your pitch." The saying was "spikes on" for the pitching. Says, everyone, if you can pitch, we might need you to pitch. And teams have really picked up on that last couple of years. The Nationals did that. Did that a little bit in 2019. In 2020, the Dodgers did it a little bit with a guy like a Julio Urias. In 2021, last year, I'm pretty sure the Braves did it a little bit. I feel like it's, and then also there are other teams that didn't win that did it as well. But you're seeing a lot more teams kind of be willing. Hey, we know you're a starting pitcher, and we know you might be slated to start Game 4, but this is Game 2, and we need you out of the bullpen. We're gonna use you.
Yeah, it's the game's changing definitely in the bullpens and the playoffs. It's a really cool thing, and it's cool for the fans too because now it's like you really don't know who you're gonna see. You don't know how this game's gonna play out. Like it adds a little bit more excitement. Like you're not used to seeing starting pitchers start like coming in relief, and now you're seeing it, and it's like how's he gonna react? It's definitely. I think it's a good thing, just
Yeah.
overall. As I
Imagine
talk it out,
Pedro
it
or
seems like it's a good thing.
imagine Pedro Martinez or Randy Johnson coming out in the ninth inning.
Randy Johnson did that.
Well, I
He
know he
came
did,
in.
but like
Yeah.
imagine like in the 2000. I know the 2001 World Series is a good memory for Yankees fans. I can't think of
In
any time Randy.
95
Yeah, I
playoffs,
know
he
he did
came
it
out
in
of the
'95,
bullpen
but I'm
too.
saying imagine
Yeah.
like he's in the World Series and a manager just goes, Randy Johnson, we're gonna use you in the ninth inning, and you're starting 2 days later, like or Pedro Martinez, like come pitch to the ninth inning. Here you go. Like you're just like these, and I think we're gonna get to a point like Garrett Cole we saw warming up in the ninth inning, uh, against in Game 5. Like I think we're gonna get to a place where the Yankees like let's say they get to a Game 7 against Houston, and it's a let's say the Yankees maybe it's a tie, even a tie game. I think tie game is an even better situation for it, right? And let's say tie game and it's the 10th inning. You'd love Garrett Cole to start Game 1 of the World Series, but guess what? You don't have a World Series if you don't win. So throw Garrett Cole out there. And even if he started Game 5, throw him out there. Like, how many better options do you have than Garrett Cole? If you're the Astros, how many better options are you going to have than, Justin Verlander? We saw the Astros do it with Luis Garcia in the Seattle in that 18-inning game in Game 3. We saw the Astros do it.
Yeah, it's what I think it does is too, and it's like you can do that. You bring out, you say Garrett Cole, pitch the 10th, 11th inning. Like, look, we got Garrett Cole coming out. Now the pressure's on the lineups. Like, you got to go out there and score us a run. Like he's stepping up. Now one of you has to step up. And it's just an infectious team that the team could feed off of. Like this guy's going out and like doing something like that he doesn't do to help us win. I have to go do something. Like let's generate a run. Just get on base, draw the walk, have a tough at bat. Like just do something to contribute. I think it's a good thing because it can really help out the team's mentality.
And it can even be a bullpen saver as well. Like the big one that everyone remembers is the 2018 World Series, Nathan Eovaldi. And I remember after that game, Red Sox lost, Max Muncy as a walk-off homer. Everyone in the Red Sox dugout was happy for Nathan Eovaldi's performance, and they were all fine that they lost that game because they knew, hey, we just saved our bullpen, and the Dodgers bullpen is spent. They knew that, and they knew how big of a performance it was from Nathan Eovaldi. And if the Yankees have the arms, they can do this. Domingo Germán, hello, like, hey, we're in a game, and we need like 3 or 4 innings out of you from the bullpen. It's one of those crazy extra inning games because we've already had 2 of them this postseason.
I think Tyone is a guy I would trust out of the bullpen too because pitches to contact, keeps the ball down, sinker, and he just has. Like, I know he struggled a little bit in the middle of the season, but he finished the season strong, and I just like he's got a tough personality to him. Like, there's something about watching him out on the mound. Like, he doesn't get rattled. He's a guy I would trust coming out of the bullpen and being like what Eovaldi was for y'all in 2018, what Patrick Corbin was for Nationals in 2019. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the guy who I think could, to me, that's Tyone. Like, that could be his role in this going into these next 2 series.
Yeah,
and going into this series, whoa. Going into the ALCS and hopefully the Yankees get past the ALCS into the World Series. I don't want to I don't believe in jinxes or anything, but I don't want anyone coming at me saying I just jinxed the Yankees.
Well, like, and also too, like, I want to look at I feel like in these series clinching games, and it's gonna happen a little bit more when we get towards deeper a World Series. And I'm not even talking this postseason, just in general, now and in the future. I think we're gonna see teams, 9th inning of a series clinching game, whether it's the ALCS, NLCS, World Series, they're gonna throw their best pitcher out there, especially if it's the World Series, for example. And who knows? No one cares about tomorrow. You gotta win, especially if it's a game 7. We saw it with the Dodgers in 2020. They put out Julio Urias to pitch the 9th inning. He's not a relief pitcher. He's a starting pitcher. So, might arguably their best option in the bullpen at the time. The Red Sox brought up Chris Sale in 2018. I forget who the Braves... I think the Braves had a reliever pitch. But I think, if the Yankees win a World Series anytime in the next couple of years, I think there's a good chance it's going to be Garrett Cole pitching that 9th inning unless he started that game. And, I think that's a way where the league's going to go in the playoffs where it's hey, we need to shut this game down. We don't care what you were in the regular season. You're a best pitcher. Get out there, shut this thing down, and win it for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap this thing up, I'm talking a lot about this Yankees Astros series. Let's talk about a little bit about the Phillies and Padres series. Game 1's going on right now, so to speak. I don't know what the score is. I'm not looking at it. But this as the other series, the team that the winner of this Yankees Astros series is going to have to face. They have to face one of those 2 teams. Go to John. What are your kind of thoughts on this series? I know, mostly Red Sox Yankees kind of crew here at Bleacher Brawls, but we have been keeping an eye on the other stuff that's been going on in the postseason. So, kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. So I just checked it. Bottom 7th, Phillies are up 2-0, which is impressive because I still think the Phillies are playing in over their heads, and the Padres are a stacked roster. So geez, the fact the Phillies are up right now, and I've said this before, I have family in South Jersey that are Philly fans. They live right on the other side of the Delaware River, from Philly, very close. I used to go into Philly when I was younger, when I'd go visit them. My cousin Sam did a lot of the artwork for early Bleacher Brawls. All right, I love y'all. I'm happy. I want you to be happy. I hate Philly. I hate Philly sports. I hate the Eagles especially, and I hate the Eagles so much that it goes over to the Phillies, where it's I just don't want to see Eagles fans happy, so I don't want the Phillies to win. And it's a shame. I've been, like I said, I got the family down there. I was at the old Veterans Park when I was little. I've been to, that whole sporting complex area and that they have now. and I just don't like Philly. I won't even buy Philadelphia cream cheese. Like I actually heard this on DPH from Rothenberg, and where Dave Rothenberg mentioned that he won't buy Philadelphia cream cheese, and the thought had never crossed my mind. When he said it, I'm like, oh my god, like I've been buying Philadelphia cream cheese. Like I have to buy store bought. Like this isn't the right thing to be doing. So I guess I hope the Padres win this series. Is what I'm saying.
You're gonna jump on the Padres bandwagon with me. For me, and I think most Red Sox fans, they're just like, we want kind of, I guess we want the Astros to win because Christian Vasquez is there, I guess, but we don't like either the Astros or Yankees. And then you have the Red Sox fan base that's split on the National League because they're like, well, Kyle Schwarber's in Philly and whatever, and and we hate Manny Machado. But then there's also the other part of the fan base that's like, no, we don't want to see Dombrowski win in Philadelphia. And you have that side of the fan base is like, no, we don't need Dombrowski to win.
Oh my
And
god.
I'm part of the fan base where I don't hate Manny Machado. I don't really hate many MLB players. I know Machado slide and Pedroia's career, whatever, but I don't hate Manny Machado. I think that he's matured a lot since going to San Diego. And I'm telling me Padres, Phillies, give me the Padres. I'll take the Padres, and I am the Padres correspondent for the playoffs for Bleacher Brawls. So let's keep it going.
So this is pretty crazy too. All right, like if you think about it, like 2 years ago, the big free agent class, Harper and Machado, and these are two teams they signed with.
Yep.
And you mentioned Machado maturing with the Padres, and he has, like, which I did not see coming. Like that was very surprising. But when this happened, and I'd love to get your opinion on it because this was before we met, and I'd love to get what you think on this. Like, I think these two should have signed with the opposite teams. Like Bryce Harper has that like California, like laid back, I don't know, laid back persona, but like there's no pressure on him if he signs with San Diego. Like whatever, just go out and do your thing and put up numbers, and the fans are gonna like you because that's San Diego, Southern California baseball. Manny Machado's attitude, at least back then, would have fit in perfectly in Philly. Like that guy, with his in your face attitude, would have been like is everything that Philly was. So it was just pretty crazy. I always thought like that should have been switched, but here they are both in the NLCS. So I guess something went right.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harper fits Philly well because he comes off as a little bit laid back, but he definitely has that kind of gritty side to him and whatever. And we've seen it with his injuries, and he's saying, I don't care, like I'm playing, I'll DH if you can't put me in the field. Like, he definitely has a gritty side. And I think Machado, I think he needed to go somewhere where there wasn't necessarily as much pressure to try and win right away. If that makes sense, it's because I think we've seen Machado mature, and this Padres team, and I said it last week in the playoff storylines video, like this is Manny Machado's team. Like you see that, go back to when he was with the Orioles, and it was never his team. Even when all the veterans left, wasn't his team, and that team was awful. Like it wasn't anyone's team. That team was just like they lost 115 games in 2018. He goes to the Dodgers. It was really a rental. They just got him because Corey Seager got injured, whatever. Um, but I think that him going to the Padres, I think, made a lot of sense from the fact of it's going to be his team. They're going to build around him. Obviously, they had signed Hosmer, but it was going to be Machado's team. And like, there's less of a kind of pressure on you to really, and not that Machado can't perform well under pressure, but there's less of a pressure to be amazing. It's a little bit more laid back, and I think that's what Machado needed more than Harper, right? And I think that, and San Diego, like they still are, like we've seen it this postseason. They are they're town crazy for baseball. They still, they're there for their team, especially when their team is good. Like they are there to support that team, and I think Machado fits in kind of this Padres team. The Padres team feels a little bit like a party team almost, right? And
Yes. Yes.
and Machado fits that perfectly, right? And like having a guy like, for example, Eric Hosmer there before he got traded to the Red Sox, I don't think Hosmer really fit that group. But you get guys like Machado and Juan Soto, and it was supposed to be Tatis, now it's not. But they kind of fit in that kind of a little bit younger group, but a little bit party group, but also too serious about what goes on the field, and I think that it just works in San Diego. It's I don't know if anyone watching is going to get this reference, but it's a little bit like Red Bull, their Formula One team. they're known as the party team, but they still get business done when it comes to racing, and they still get their jobs done. That's the Padres. Like, they might be the party team, but they can get the job done on the field.
Yeah, like LSU 2019 national championship team. Like those guys were awesome, but like like they're always having fun. Like they're always having a great team, and then they won the national championship doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel this series is definitely gonna be interesting. A lot of good pitching matchups in this series. I always say Dombrowski can't build a bullpen. He fell butt backwards into a bullpen this year, so good for him. And I mean that seriously because like they didn't add many pieces to their bullpen. It was these guys they kind of finally figured it out, and they still don't really have a closer, but it kind of works. Whereas the Padres, like you cannot give the Padres a lead in the ninth inning because Josh Hader is going to go in 1-2-3 lights out. The Padres are the more dangerous team, but the Phillies, I think, definitely can hold their own, right? And I feel like the Padres are more dangerous because they can easily, you get to that game down and it's game over, and that Padres bullpen's been lights out. Whereas the Phillies, they're not as dangerous in that sense, but the Phillies can go put up one big inning, and that's all they need. They can just sit back and do nothing the rest of the game offensively. If they score 3-4 runs on you in an inning, even 5 or 6, they have the ability to do that. Whereas the Padres, they're kind of gonna get you up. Hopefully, they're gonna get ahead of you. Hopefully, and then let that bullpen kind of shut the game down.
And for an entertainment factor for Bleacher Brawls, all in all, and the more I think about it, how amazing would a Phillies / Dombrowski World Series be just to see Luke's reaction? Like he hates the Yankees and he hates Dombrowski, and now he has to root for one of them to win. Like, who does he choose? I would think Dombrowski, but then like it's a win-win. That scenario would be a win-win for me because if Dombrowski wins, like, oh geez, look, you were wrong. And
yeah.
if the Yankees win, the Yankees win. Like so.
Yeah.
Now the more I think about it, I really think the best thing that could possibly happen would be a Yankees Phillies World Series with the Yankees winning.
I think the Phillies they're a little bit lucky with Dombrowski that they're in the spot where they haven't gone full in on the massive contracts yet, right? Like they signed Schwarber and Castellanos, right? But they're not in that where the Red Sox were with Dombrowski, and like they had already like the Red Sox with Dombrowski, it was Sale, Price, Martinez, this guy, that guy, yada yada yada, big contracts. And on the back end of that World Series, after that World Series, and Evaldi gets contract, and even Steve Pearce got like a 2-year deal. It was those contracts were adding up, and then eventually the Red Sox they declined as they essentially had the same team. Same thing happened from 2013 to 2014. You have the same exact team, guys decline, and ended up Dombrowski gets fired, and the Red Sox got to trade Mookie Betts.
Yeah,
The
and it's
Phillies
not
aren't at that
about
point
that though. It's not about that. It's more about just taunting. The facts aren't going to really matter in that scenario. None of that's going to matter. It would just be the whole being able, like, oh, look at this, like
Oh yeah,
and
like,
just
I don't
throw the
hate
facts out the
Dombrowski.
window. We don't need facts.
Oh no, I don't hate Dombrowski. I just don't like the fact that he's gonna go that part of the Red Sox fan base that is all like loves Dombrowski is gonna lose their mind, and they're always the most heard part of the Red Sox fan base for whatever reason, and it's gonna make me. It's like, why'd you get rid of Dombrowski? Look what he's doing. Yeah, he's just throwing money at people. The only thing I will say is if we're looking at the 4 teams in this postseason, and we're saying their ability to be consistent over a 5 or 6 year stretch, like the Astros have been. I mean, the Astros are probably number 1 for that. Yankees have proven they can be. They're probably number 2. And it's probably Padres, then the Phillies. And I think, and it's a whole thing with the Dave Dombrowski thing with the Phillies, where it's like you're going all out for that one World Series, right? You're going all out for that one World Series, and you either win it or you don't. But the result of that isn't going to be necessarily great. And like the Brandon Marsh trade for the Phillies, it's not necessarily a bad trade. And like you got a guy in Brandon Marsh where you needed help out of position, you needed help in the big leagues. But trading away at one of your best prospects, especially a catching prospect. I know you got Real Muto, but he's not going to get any younger. And probably arguably your second or third best prospect in a weak farm system. Eventually it will catch up. But the Phillies, they are going all in for that one World Series, and could happen this year. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely it's a possibility. I still think it's the Padres, much
Yeah.
like I know that's what you think too. I think the Padres are the favorite. I'm just thinking entertainment value. Just watching Luke meltdown would warm my Yankee heart.
Yeah. I'm hoping Padres just because I can just bother Alvaro about Manny Machado.
Yeah.
That'll be amazing. But I think that's a great place for actually no. Before we wrap it up, obviously you're gonna pick the Yankees to win the series. Obviously, but looking at the Padres, how many games do you think each series is gonna go?
Oh, geez.
Just throw a number out there.
ALCS, you have to assume 7 games, and NLCS. I think they both go 7 games. I think the Phillies are gonna put up a fight, eventually lose to the Padres. Maybe the Philly wins all 3 games in Philly, and San Diego wins all 3 games in San Diego, or all 4 games in San Diego. I could see that happening. And I think the Yankees take one in Houston.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, I'm not gonna. I feel like the Padres Philly series is a little bit of an unknown, just because like they weren't the best teams in the regular season, but like we know they have the talent to be very good, and they've shown it in beating the Dodgers and the Braves, which like to beat the last two World Series champions, like you know, even though the Dodgers 2020 World Series whatever, but like they still won a World Series. Braves won the World
It,
Series last year. Like those are two hard
and
teams
those
to
were
beat.
the 2 best teams heading into the playoffs, too. There were a lot of questions
Yeah.
about both of the Phillies and the Padres, and everyone just assumed it was going to be the Braves or Dodgers in the
Yeah.
World Series.
And people believe, and also people were like, "Oh, the Padres aren't even going to make it to the Dodgers because they're going to lose to the Mets." And they beat the Mets.
Mhm.
I think the Padres are going to be the most battle tested team if they make it to the World Series. Put it like that. I think the Padres are the most battle tested team there is right now, and if they make it to the World Series, they're only going to be more battle tested because they got to go up against a Philly team that had to go to St. Louis, had to go to Atlanta, and this Philly team is ready to go as well. But I think that Padres team could be scary in any World Series just because the teams that they've gone through. If the Braves had beat the Phillies, the Padres would have to go through 101 win Mets, 111 win Dodgers, 101 win Braves, and then potentially let's say, and if what was even last year, if the Astros beat the Yankees and 106 win Astros, like 400 win teams, like ridiculous. I think the Padres Phillies go 7. I think Yankees Astros go 6, but I think it's a toss up of who wins that series. And the only reason I say it's going to go 6 is I don't think both series are going to go 7, and I think the NLCS is more likely to go 7. Um, I don't remember the last time we've had 2 series both go 7 games, so that's also why I'm saying 6 in the ALCS. But I truly don't know who's going to win. All right, any final things you want to get off our chest before we wrap this thing up?
Man, I think we covered a lot tonight. I'm just excited. Like I said, I'm enjoying the night. I'm enjoying the victory, heading to the ALCS, and just let the stress start again tomorrow.
All
When
right.
Aaron Judge is going to come alive.
Yeah, I think Yankees fans are hoping that happens too, because they're going to need him for sure. That's a great place to wrap it up, though. Make sure to check out all links in the description, the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the crew's Twitters. Check all that out in the description. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell while you're down there checking all that stuff out. Make sure you'll get notified whenever we post. No Tuesday video this week because the Yankees just had to have the New York weather just had to rain out the Yankees Guardians game. But we'll have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, and then hopefully next week we'll hop right back on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then either Thursday or Friday, depending on when the series end and start. I haven't looked at the schedule yet, but we'll have great stuff planned for everyone. So make sure to stay tuned in for John and Derek, which is me, obviously. You've been watching Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.